Hello and welcome to the presentation for MonetaPro. And before I go very far, I want to give a little history lesson. When the world of commerce started out, civilization started around barter. I've got chickens, you've got milk, let's trade. But there was a problem. If you wanted chickens and I don't want milk or a cow, we couldn't trade. There was no portability, there was no currency. And therein lies the creation. The first forms of portable currency ever were the moneta seashells. That's where the word money comes from. And moneta created portability to allow the world to move forward with commerce. And that's what MonetaPro is. We'll get into it a little more, but MonetaPro is a private B2B exchange for global corporate barter. And you might ask yourself, well, what is that? What's the market for that? Well, it's actually a $17 trillion existing market. And it goes by a bunch of different words: non-cash trading, corporate barter, corporate offsets, off-book trading, intercompany transactions. There's a lot of different names for it. Corporate offsets, again, is one of them. 72% of the Fortune 500 companies participate in some form of global barter, and the average trade is over $1 million. And you might ask yourself, well, if I haven't heard of it, what do companies trade for? All sorts of things: cars for computers, airlines, media, machinery, natural resources, energy for services, hotel rooms for toilet paper. Indeed, it's a massive industry that's existing between these large corporations. But right now it's one-to-one. It's a direct trade. It's a manual off-book process, which means for a company like Ford to trade with IBM or Lenovo for computers, you need to identify a trade partner, establish equal value, negotiate, consummate, track, trade, report. And then you have to do it all over again for each transaction. There is no portability. And you might ask yourself, well, if it's so difficult, why don't companies just sell for cash, especially in the US? Why would you trade at all? Well, let's think about it for a moment. You're CFO of a car company, you have $1 million worth of cars left at the end of the year, and you say, I can put them on sale. Let's discount them 20%. There's 20% of the value. Sell them, pay taxes, and kill our channel of the guys who might buy the new car model. Instead, you go, who could I trade with? What do we need? Aha! Let's call my buddy over at Dell and say, hey, I know you need a bunch of cars for your sales guys. We need some computers to run our systems. Let's trade $1 million worth of cars, $1 million worth of computers, full retail value, save cash, no taxes. Indeed, removing this type of inventory is the #1 most challenging task for managers. And trading is a better distribution channel because it helps conserve cash. And let's look at each of those in sequence or in process. #1, higher rate of return. This is not a discount model. It's not a warehouse model. It's not an overstock model. Companies are trading at full retail and protecting their distribution channel. You get to acquire new items without spending cash. That improves your cash flow, protects your balance sheet. And it's potentially tax-free. These transactions under a 1099-B, a bartered or brokered transaction, it's tax-free within the US, and there's some interesting international tax implications as well. So what's the solution? These companies are already doing this activity manually. MonetaPro is a closed-loop marketplace. We're technically what's called a closed-loop payment system, but we'll get into that a little bit more. What does MonetaPro do? We basically deliver a fully automated web-based solution. Think of us like an Amazon for business. If you were selling computers and you had to call and phone and fax and email, and Amazon comes along and you can list a computer and sell to multiple people and buy assets. That's all automated within a closed marketplace. And when we say enterprise level, unlike an Amazon or an eBay that's a single user sign-on, MonetaPro's multiple levels, divisions, departments, users, rights, authorities. How do you select? How do you acquire? Who can do what? What's the selling process? Easy sign up. Click, add a product, fill out a form. Streamline buying. You can now search and find other assets. No more phone, fax, email. It's all done within a closed marketplace. But the real trick, we created what's called a multi-party trading solution. Remember the Moneta, the shell added portability. So here's our direct trade, barter, one-to-one, manual, negotiated. We wanted portability. So we built a system and we created something called a GBUC. This is our MonetaPro shell. A GBUC stands for a general business usage credit. A company like Ford can now sell cars to a third party, receive GBUCs in return, and use those credits to buy other assets from another party: tires, batteries, airlines, shipping. Indeed, the one-to-one becomes one-to-many within the MonetaPro closed payment system. And the GBUC, again, stands for a general business usage credit. It's pronounced a buck. It's equal to a dollar, a US dollar. But I want to be careful and clear here. This is not a blockchain credit. It's not a ledger. It's not a cryptocurrency, all of those things floating around. No, this is an immediate financial settlement. Think of a store credit within Amazon as an example. That's immediate. It's better than getting paid 3 days later on a credit card or transferring money through wire transfers. There's no volatility in a store credit. It equals a US dollar, so it's stabilized pricing from everybody around the world against the dollar, and all the credits stay within the system. Credits can't be stolen and spent somewhere else. So again, a closed loop fintech financial platform. Is there a need? Well, here's proof of market. IBM's got a great white paper, blockchain and distributed ledger technology, game changer in managing multinational corporations' intercompany transactions. No external auditors, no tracking, 1,200-page white paper PwC on transfer pricing. Too many parts and lack of transparency in intercompany transactions. Deloitte, manual processes tie up the resources. Again, this activity is being done manually. MonetaPro steps in and solves 3 key problems. 1, automation. The marketplace exists. We've built it. It's kind of like Amazon for business. It exists. But we also said, hey, there's some problems with inventory update and ownership transfer for these large corporations. And we've integrated some blockchain solutions to solve 2 main problems. Here's what blockchain solves for us within MonetaPro. We're not a, quote, blockchain company. We are using blockchain to solve business problems within the enterprise solution. Here's what I mean. If you transfer cars, again, we stuck with that example, and you've got an invoice of items being transferred out, the invoices primarily are static. They don't communicate. Well, we got 2 problems. 1, inventory is out of compliance. If you transfer $1 million worth of cars, you don't technically sell them. They've been transferred. That means your SAP and Oracle, the 2 primary fixed asset module databases from companies around the world that run on these systems, they need to be updated. You need to show these items were removed. But once they're removed, you need an audit trail. You can't just remove inventory out of a system. You need proof of transfer. You need proof of title and an ownership transfer and an audit trail. And that's what we're utilizing blockchain for. So again, MonetaPro is a closed loop community, but we partnered with IBM and DocuSign where our invoices are written and IBM can communicate with SAP and Oracle and other databases for inventory management, and DocuSign for the invoicing just to prove asset management and proof of transfer and ownership. So a smart contract, a smart solution utilizing blockchain within the enterprise to solve a problem. Where are we? Company status. Systems are complete. Active pipeline of large corporations. Big history of trading. Experienced management team. I'll cover that in a minute. We actually just brought in a new CEO and an industry-specific domain. My background, I've done quite a few companies. I've had 3 public companies. Igor Barash, our COO, took his first company out to NASDAQ. Jay Sato, billion-dollar brands within Sony. Rick Prendergast built the American Express Salesforce. And again, we don't have it on here, but we're pretty excited. Just secured the former head of global technology, the technology practice leader globally for PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. This particular gentleman built a $500 million practice in 2 years with PwC, IBM, SAP, Oracle, our primary components and customers. Advisor, industry specific, global head of First Data. Richard Titus came out of ARC. Actually, he was with Razorfish. Advertising is a big channel for trading. Food is a big channel. We've got a global food expert in John Sutton, former CMO of Kodak. Just some really great guys involved. And what's the offer? We are looking for our next round of funding. But before I talk to you about that, let me tell you what you might have missed out on, and hopefully not miss out again. How many of you have missed out on Amazon? Raise your hand. I know I can't see it, but a lot of people have these stories. Oh, Jeff came in our office. We heard the story. We didn't believe it. Well, Amazon's went on to become a success. Obviously, we believe MonetaPro could be the next Amazon. And before you shut yourself off in the blinders, let me be clear. I don't mean competitively. We mean by the numbers. Let's take a look. Amazon is in a $20 trillion retail commerce space. That's the space that Amazon's primarily in. They're a B2C or business to consumer platform. Their $82 average volume of sales and about $200 billion in top line revenue. And they actually have about 1% of the market. So anybody thinks Amazon's as big as they can get, they still have a ways to go. But we're not here to talk about Amazon. Let's talk about MonetaPro. Why do I say we could be the next Amazon? Again, not competitively. We're in a totally different sector. Corporate barter, global trade, corporate offsets. $17 trillion market. There is no global automated marketplace. MonetaPro is the first and hoping to be the first to move in and own this market. It's a B2B market, which means the average transaction is much larger. But again, we said, how do you get to 200 billion in total sales? Well, here's 10 companies we've identified. Some of these I can't disclose which, some of these we are in conversations with and have good relationships with to bring those companies into MonetaPro with their trade volume. These are existing trade volumes, off-book, counter trade. These are the kinds of volumes that could easily come onto the MonetaPro platform, and we believe we can scale very quickly with just a few core, what we call charter members coming in. So hopefully that got you excited. Our round right now, $10 million is our next round. It is an equity round. We've already raised $5 million, so we're not cash poor. We've got plenty of cash flow in terms of resources, but to go to market in the enterprise level, we really need more cash and stuff to really support these big enterprise companies. We have a system that is equity. We also have what we call liquidity tokens. Those of you that may or may not be familiar with the blockchain space, we've done a really unique strategy around separating tokens out for potential quicker liquidity rather than 6, 9, 12 years with the equity. It's potentially 6, 9, 12, 15 months with the liquidity token. But again, these are separate documentation. So legally, the investment structure is equity. Wilson Sonsini, many of you know on the legal side, and all accredited investors. Bunch of milestones have been hit. Software is done, tested, vetted, management teams in place. Funds have already been raised in the development side. We're starting to get into onboarding some customer conversations and really looking to launch going into the first quarter coming up here in 2019 that we've just started. And in closing, we've got something called a corporate benevolence program. The philanthropy side is an interesting side for us. The way that G-Bucks work, the general business usage credit, if you're a company, you can trade these credits within the system. Again, imagine you're selling 10, 20, $30 million worth of assets. You accumulate credits, you use them to spend something else. You're taxed on the value at the end of the year. If you zero that out, you have no tax liability. If you're left with credits at the end of the year, you will get 1099 by MonetaPro for that tax liability. And we said, well, if corporations want to shift that, they could potentially donate those G-Bucks or credits out to targeted charities, vetted products, organizations they're already partnered with. And not only do they shift that liability out, they reduce their tax liability, they pick up the nonprofit credit, and the charities receive these G-Bucks credits that they could immediately use to start acquiring assets and further in their mission. Pretty excited about that. And then super excited about this. I joke, MonetaPro is the J.D. Powers. Any of you in the United States may get this joke. It's not a joke, but you'll get the reference. J.D. Powers of blockchain, meaning we've won more global ICO contests, more global awards than any company on the planet that we're aware of. First place, Silicon Valley, Los Angeles, second in Malta, second in Puerto Rico, second in Silicon Valley, or in Seoul, Korea, Puerto Rico, FinTech Zurich. Again, we've had great success within the space of actually winning these awards and validating the model of what we're doing. And that's it. That's MonetaPro. If you're interested, feel free to give us a call or an email. Can run you through a demo, give you more information, let you talk to the management team, anything to move the process forward. Again, I'm Stephen Meade. This is MonetaPro. Thank you.